They had weak faith, but they prayed, and God answered. It reminds me of the story in Mark chapter 9. You can turn there if you wish, but I'll read it quickly. It was when Jesus came down from the Mount of Transfiguration, and he found his disciples, and there was a crowd, and there's all this uproar here, and a man with a child who's demon-possessed had come to the disciples when Jesus was away and said, "Cast this demon out. It's tormenting my child." And they couldn't do it. And then Jesus comes back, and he comes on the scene. Verse 17, so it's Mark 9:17. And one of the crowd answered Jesus, "Teacher, I brought you my son, possessed with a spirit which makes him mute. And whenever it seizes him, it slams him to the ground, and he foams at the mouth and grinds his teeth and stiffens out. I told your disciples to cast it out, and they could not do it." And he answered them and said, "O unbelieving generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring him to me." They brought the boy to him. When he saw him, immediately the spirit threw him into a convulsion, and falling to the ground, he began rolling around and foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asked his father, "How long has this been happening to him?" And he said, "From childhood. It is often thrown him both into the fire and into the water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us." And Jesus said to him, "If you can, all things are possible to him who believes." And then one of my favorite verses in the Bible is one of the verses that gives me so much strength. Verse 24, immediately the boy's father cried out and said, "I do believe. Help my unbelief." He wasn't being contradictory there. He was just saying, I do believe, but I don't believe enough. I do believe, but there's unbelief mixed in. I do believe. Help my unbelief. And the beauty of it is that Jesus answered that prayer. Amen? You see, when our faith is weak and our questions are unanswered, if you're at the same place where that man was, you're still okay. Where was it? He was at the feet of Jesus. And if you're there, even though your faith isn't what you think it ought to be and your questions have you pondering the purposes of God, if you're there at the feet of Jesus, it's all right.
That was Pastor Cliff Boone of Cedar Crest Bible Fellowship Church, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Hear the complete message at cedarcrestbfc.org. Read Pastor Boone's blog at alivetogod.com.